Welcome to episode 22 of the Ben Briggs podcast. I am Ben Briggs. It's Saturday, the 20th of July, 2019. 50 fucking years, people, since man landed on the moon. And I am all mooned up this week, people. I ain't gonna lie to you. I am mooned up massively this week. I have been watching non-stop moon documentaries. They're all over the place. All over BBC iPlayer. They're loving the moon. More than almost as much as they did probably 50 years ago. But yeah, it's to the day, people. 50 years ago today, they landed on the moon. And then they went back a few years later and nobody gave a fuck. That's what happens, isn't it? That's what happens. Everyone gets all excited about stuff at the time, and then people went back later and they went, nah, we're not interested anymore. But yeah, there's some fucking good documentaries out there about it, though. Really interesting fucking documentaries I've been watching about it. The one on BBC iPlayer that's hours. I don't know, it was about like 6 different episodes and they're all about an hour long, called Chasing the Moon. Oh, you need to watch that, people out there. It's fucking amazing. Just takes like the whole political side of it, like all the stuff where people were fucking burning alive. It was the 60s, wasn't it? You know, it was the 60s. So they're just trying things out, aren't they? And people are burning alive in the fucking, oh, Jesus, those 3 guys. It was horrendous. There was like 3 guys when they were testing some sort of Apollo mission. And the capsule caught fire inside and they couldn't get them out. Oh, and they've got the audio recording of what they were saying. Oh, it's fucking horrendous, man. Horrendous. Like just somebody screaming, help us. Oh, God. Man, what a downer to put on the podcast already. But yeah, check out that documentary, man. It's fucking wicked. Just taking everything from sort of like how they built up, how they got all the fucking weird Nazi scientists that have been, no doubt, experimenting on Jews, sending them over in V2 rockets strapped to the front. I don't know whether they did that at first. But how they took all the scientists, so the Russians couldn't get them, and then it got a massive political race with the Russians. And then to the point of like, bringing in other stuff, how they wanted a black astronaut, so they wouldn't look fucking racist, and then just were totally racist because it was the 1960s and just used him as a fucking poster boy and never actually made him a fucking astronaut. But all the way through to the actual landing on the moon and Neil Armstrong coming out with the famous speech. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. I imagine that speech now would be somewhat different, wouldn't it? In our woke society that we have now. It'd be one small step for a man or a woman, or people who identify as a woman, or identify as a man, in fact, but may not be biologically men or women. Or people who don't identify as men or women, but are still part of the human race. The point I'm trying to make is it's a small step, or maybe a big one if you're a dwarf or a little person who are, in relation, smaller than average people. Or maybe a small push, for instance, for wheelchair users who can't actually step, and that's not their fault. The point I'm making is it's a small step, or a push for a man, or a woman, or a non-binary, or a trans person of all races, not just white people, obviously, that I've done here on the moon. But it's also a giant, and they'd cut in and go, Neil, we lost that last bit. Can you repeat? Oh, fuck it, I'm here. I'm here, and I'm on the fucking moon. Jesus, are you happy now? That would be the speech these days, wouldn't it? Jesus, be awesome. If he just went, it would be awesome because it's one of the most famous, it's got to be the worldwide, like one of the most famous speeches that's ever been made. Like worldwide, it's got to be. hasn't it? I know, like, the Americans all say, like, it was the fucking Lincoln speech or whatever, 400 and fucking how many years ago or whatever. I don't know. They would say that, or British people would say one of the most the famous speeches. We'll fight them on the beaches. We'll fight them in the landing ground. We'll fight them in the fucking pubs. We'll fight them in the kebab houses. Whatever that speech that Churchill made. That's probably for British people one of the most iconic speeches. But worldwide, the old one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind has got to be one of the... it's got to be worldwide the most famous thing. Most famous speech. Surely, hasn't it? People out there, I would have thought so. Everybody knows that, don't they? All, even Russians know that fucking speech. Not that they shouldn't know that, but it would have been fucking amazing if it had just got on there, not made that speech, and then just gone, I'm on the fucking moon, you pricks, and that became the woo, yeah, I'm a fucking moon man. That became the most. That's a very odd speech he's making there. Because everybody reporting on it at that time, like when you watch these documentaries or whatever, and they're reporting on it, like Walter Cronkite or whatever, they're like real kind of stuffy and got that. And just to go, whoa, I'm on the fucking moon. That would have been awesome. And then he just launches into a diatribe against everybody who ever doubted him. Fuck you to my maths teacher, Mr. Jenkins, who doubted me. Fuck you to Bobby Timms, who used to bully me at school. Fuck anyone who just goes into a fucking Eminem style fucking rant. Fuck you to anyone who doubted me. I fucking did it. And then he just cuts his ropes and just floats off into space, like giving the finger. And that's it. That would have been fucking awesome. But yeah, it's at the time it seems like watching the documentaries and that, it was like consumed like the whole world. Like obviously it happened 8 years before I was born into this crazy world, man. But yeah, it happened like 69, didn't it? So that was like 8 years before I was born. But everybody, it was fucking brilliant on one documentary that I watched. I think it was like the Brian Cox one, like, and they were interviewing people. And they were saying this, they were interviewing people. This is how it's seen around the world. And people in America were like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then they interviewed like 3 people from England. And there was like some guy saying it's an amazing achievement and it's really brilliant. And then there's some woman some old fucking woman sitting on a bench who just went, I don't see why they can't just do something else. That is the just concentrate on other things. That is the fucking mentality of British people right there. They're going to the moon, you old fucker. You know, it's a massive achievement. It's just going, eating a fucking sweets. Just going, I don't know why they can't do something else. That shows the fucking British fucking mentality there of anybody doing anything different. People fucking just want to fuck them over and just think it's a waste of time. But I love that. I love the fucking whole thing. That woman made me laugh so much when I was watching it because it just reminds you of all the, if you had people like that, we'd just be like fucking sitting, still in a fucking cave, wouldn't we? We'd just be sitting in a cave with a pile of sticks round us, freezing to death. And someone would say, do you reckon we ought to rub the sticks together to see if we can start a fire? No, we need the sticks. Leave the sticks alone. That would be it. And we'd still be sitting in a fucking cave for people like that. It's like the whole thing. I was talking to somebody the other night about this. And the whole thing about people saying at the time that all that money could have been spent on, like, everybody goes for feeding the poor, don't they? We could raise the standard of living for the poor and that. That's never going to happen. Nobody's ever going to do that. Ever. That money would have just been wasted on something else. Somebody had just, think to themselves, oh, I got 5 mansions, but I could really do with 6 mansions. Let's use a bit of that money to get fucking 6 mansions and fuck the poor. But it's things like that, isn't it? Like, it's things like going to the moon and that. We need achievements like that. We need to dream as a species, you know? We need to go out there and endeavour and accomplish things. It gives us all a little bit of hope sometimes, doesn't it? Rather than just doing the mundane things. Yeah, okay, we ought to feed the poor and all that sort of thing, and that's a bad thing, that people are starving to death and all that sort of thing. But we need to literally reach for the stars sometimes and have a bit of a dream. That's part of human nature, isn't it? You know, to dream, to push boundaries, you know. Anyway, fucking, yeah. But it was, I got all excited. You see, I'm getting animated and excited. It's not all just moaning on this podcast. Some of it's excitement. I'm getting excited. I know, you're probably thinking you're getting excited about something that happened 50 years ago. I know. But it was fucking, you know, like, gave me a bit of fire in the belly watching all that. Not that I'm ever going to achieve that. I'm never going to go to the moon. I'm never going to go to space, you know. I am strictly earthbound for the rest of my life, I think. Unless they have some sort of... that's the next thing they'll do with comedians, just fucking export them to another planet if they tell a fucking bad joke that somebody gets offended by. And they just set up a little colony, fucking hell, that was a hard word to say that. A colony on Mars or something for comedians where we can all just sit round fucking writing and telling the jokes that we actually want to without actually offending people on fucking Earth. Oh, a bit of tea there. Needed a bit of tea just to calm down. Yeah, so that was interesting, and then I went down a rabbit hole and watched Buzz Aldrin punch a conspiracy theory man. That's where that all ended up for me. I was watching it on iPlayer, and then I started Googling moon landings, and then I Googled Buzz Aldrin, and one of the first thing comes up is Buzz Aldrin punches, and it was a fucking corker. Punches conspiracy theorist. If you haven't seen that yet, watch it. It's fucking amazing. This geezer's just like right in his face, calling him a liar, saying he didn't land on the moon, saying he's a thief. And at the moment he says he's a thief, just when he gets to the end of that, bang. There is nothing better in the world than watching a 70, 80-year-old man punch somebody half his age in the face. A big, fat, half his age guy who's really in his face saying, yeah, who's got, I imagine, no training, no astronaut training, no training in the space race or anything like that. And he just gives him a fucking right dig. Bang. Smack in the face. It was a nice dig as well, Jesus. I wouldn't have liked to take a punch off him when he was younger, old Buzz Aldrin. It's one of the best things I've seen. Certainly the best thing I've seen on the internet this week, that's for sure. But it's interesting how people come out with all those conspiracy theories and come out, hang on a minute, why is the flag waving? Why aren't the shadows lining up like they should line up? You know, I don't know. I don't know whether it was faked or not. But at the end of that, the good thing about conspiracy theories is you can watch a conspiracy theory guy be punched in the face by an astronaut. If that's where all these conspiracy theories lead up, I think it's worth having the conspiracy theories out there. I want to see more astronauts beating conspiracy theorists. You know, just like an MMA fight or something like that. You've got astronauts against conspiracy theorists. You know, with their little fucking nerdy glasses on, and, and they bring in a folder of evidence, and astronauts are just allowed to beat the shit out of them for 5 minutes. I'd pay fucking money to see that. I'd pay money to see highly trained astronauts beat the fuck out of conspiracy theorists on a weekly basis. I would subscribe to that. Pay-per-view. And then they just take all their conspiracy theory things and then hold them up as they're on the moon. I'd pay for that. But the whole documentaries about it, particularly that one, Chasing the Moon, which is on BBC iPlayer. It's amazing to see how much effort they put in and how many lives were lost or almost lost, like doing it, and how they were saying that part of, I think it was like the Apollo, was it Apollo 8 they went up in? Apollo 8, Apollo 9, something like that. Apollo 8, I think. How that had less computing ability than a fucking phone does these days, or a watch or something like that, and how little, they had no experience. They were real pioneers going out there, and they were essentially just sitting on a fucking bomb. And they still did it. Yeah, get up there. We've got to beat the Russians. Go on. Are you sure this is safe? Well, probably. It's all safe until it catches fire. Then you're fucked. That was the worst thing about those people who were burnt alive in that thing. They couldn't actually get the capsule door open. They were trying to get the capsule door open and they couldn't because it opened inwards. And when the fire started, the pressure changed inside. So the actual door system opening inwards was the thing that fucked them all. And it was awful. And when they opened it up, there was just like the three bodies were just piled on top of each other by the door where they were trying to get out. Man. It's fucking horrendous. And they were saying, like, they obviously said they died instantly in that, but they were saying, no, they'd have, like, been in there for a minute, 2 minutes or something like that before they died of gas inhalation and stuff. And you just think, fucking hell, the sacrifices some people make for what they want to do. And to just, like, hammer down the boundaries of human endeavour, man. But, yeah. But it was the 60s, wasn't it? Health and safety weren't around then, was it? You wouldn't get away with that these days, would you? Somebody would cut their finger and they'd stop the fucking programme completely. But it was interesting how nobody really gave a fuck. Like, once we'd landed on the moon, the funding and everything like that was, like, more or less cut within 3 or 4 missions back to the moon. And nobody really gave a fuck. And they were it's like everything. That's fucking human nature, that is. That is human nature in a cup of tea. Innit? Just like, hey, man, we're going to do this. This is fucking amazing. You're the fucking man. We've been to the moon. And then, hey, we're going back to the moon. Yeah, we've done that already. All right? Show us something new. Yeah? Show me something new. Who's working in a warehouse somewhere or in an office. Show me. No. I'm not interested in that anymore. But we're going to the moon and we're making experiments. Fuck off. I've got some photocopying to do. Show me something I haven't seen before. Show me something I can share on social media. That's fucking it these days. Jesus, that'd be it. But check it out, guys. Check out Chasing the Moon. BBC iPlayer. Fucking amazing. And it was, even though, like, on the first one, no. Even on the first, like, flight or whatever, like, I was like, yeah, I know it, Neil Armstrong, no Buzz Aldrin, because he's got a weird fucking name, and a fucking classic right hook by the looks of it. But I didn't even, the other guy, Michael Collins, apparently, that was his name. I didn't know that before I watched this documentary. Nobody gives a shit because he must have been gutted just watching them on the moon as he's, like, orbiting above them. You get to stay in there, Michael, all right? I'd have fucking locked him out like that. You either let me on the moon or I'm not going to let you back in. Anyway, other things that have happened this week. I watched the new Top Gun trailer. Holy fucking shit. They're releasing a new film of Top Gun. Bang. They've released a trailer, even though... Is it me, or are they releasing trailers early now? Like, the film's not coming out until next summer, 2020, and they've already released a trailer for it. Surely it's ready. Get it out there, son. But it looks quite good, actually. A little bit less homoerotic than the original. And it's good that it's not a fucking remake, like everything these days, which is a remake of, like, old films, and they just get a young guy playing fucking Tom Cruise's thing. But it looks like it's a carry-on. Very well. It doesn't look like it. It is, by the sounds of it. And it looks a little bit, it might be a bit grittier rather than a little bit less beach volleyball or whatever when they're all oiled up. That was always a weird scene. I remember watching that film as a kid and thinking, I'm not sure about this scene in this film, whether they're all oiled up and like playing like volleyball. You know, not being not being homophobic, but that must have got a lot of gay viewers. That iconic scene where they're like all greased up and that sort of thing. You know, somebody there has gone, hang on a minute, there's a big gay market. We're going to hit that market. We'll stick a volleyball scene in there where they're playing beach volleyball. But it looks quite good, to be honest. I don't know how progressive it is, to be honest. Like, talking about it'll probably be a little bit less homoerotic, but they might, I don't know. Maverick's still in it, isn't he? They all had cool names like that. Maverick, Iceman. You know, they might have a gay actor in there. That'd be amazing. I'd love that. I would love a gay character in the new Top Gun film. I would love that. Hey, this is Maverick, this is Iceman, and this is Shazam. He's just got a helmet with all glitter all over it and just really short, cut-off shorts. Hey, anybody want to play volleyball? No, I'm okay, thanks. I'm all right. But yeah, you still love volleyball? No, I don't play anymore. Bad shoulder. Oh, I'd fucking love that in a mainstream Hollywood film. If they just did that, that would be fucking amazing. That would be when, like, there is total acceptance of the gay community when you have, like, a gay character in a big Hollywood blockbuster film like that. That would be brilliant. And he's like, he's sort of like Maverick's sidekick, always trying to get him to play beach volleyball and just a little bit more grease. I'm fine with the grease. Thank you. I'm okay. And he's just weird and awkward about it because it's Tom Cruise. And he's aware of the rumors about himself, but he knows he's got to play a character. Oh, I'd love that. I would fucking watch that, definitely. Why don't you do that, Hollywood, one day? Just do that. Brilliant. Yeah, so that's coming out. It looks quite good. So I'm quite excited about that. Last week, I think the trailer for the new Terminator film came out as well, which I'll watch this week. That looks all right. But they basically do that thing where you've got to forget about, you know, all the previous, like, I think it follows on from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I don't know if I talked about this last time on the podcast. That's how few notes I make now for this podcast. But, yeah, I hate that when you have to forget about that. They've basically gone, we've tried to sell you this shit, but you haven't taken it. So what we're going to do is go back to the last good film we did, Terminator 2, and then this carries on from there, doesn't it? I finally watched this week. I got the Alien box set. It's like 6 films or whatever for about £9. It was fucking wicked. I watched Prometheus and Alien Covenant this week and actually liked them. I know. I've talked about this before and actually liked those 2 last films. So, yeah, I'm a film buff. I like my films, even though it takes me ages to get around to watch them. People out there going, Jesus Christ, they come out ages ago. I know, I'm a busy man. But what else this week? People have been going ape shit over the Face app thing, haven't they? This is me in 30 years' time. And then there's a picture of them old. Why do people want to see themselves as old people? You know. Also, it's a little bit optimistic, I find. For some people. Isn't it? You know, this is me in 30 years' time. When I remember leaving school, right? And we had a science teacher called Bob Jackson, Mr. Jackson, at school. He used to go to the pub every lunchtime and after work. And when I was older, I used to see him in the pub. So that's why I know him as Bob. But he on the optimism of leaving, on the optimism of living long for a long period. When we were leaving, he said, well, good luck, everyone. He was like a real fucking alky. I imagine he's dead now. I don't know. But he said, good luck, everyone. Anyway, in 2 years' time, this was like, it goes out of every year. Within 5 years, 2 people will be dead. Anyway, have a good time and enjoy your lives. Yeah, cheers. Thanks for that. We're all fucking looking around going, who the fucking is going to be dead in 5 years? Luckily, it wasn't me. Although, as it happened, he was right. It was like a soothsayer. He just always smelt of alcohol, but it was like a soothsayer, just like fucking looking into the future. But yeah, 2 people did die within that 5 years. I think one fell off a ledge or something and smashed their head in. Jesus. But yeah, people going apeshit about the old face app thing. Everyone's been doing that. I myself haven't done that. Because if I want to look 30 years older, I'll just have 4 bottles of Budweiser. Other beers are available. 4 bottles of Budweiser and a fucking hour's kip, and then get up and look at myself in a mirror. And if I want to look grey, I'll just throw some talcum powder in my hair. That's how I look 30 years older. I just have a few beers and very little sleep. And then my bags under my eyes just come out, and I just look in the mirror. That's it. That's the face app for me. That's how I get there. 4 bottles of Budweiser and an hour's sleep. Like that, and you just wake up slightly hungover, but not massively hungover. Just as that fucking alcohol's working its way through your brain and that. That's how I look older. But people have fucking been going ape shit. Hey, here's me as a girl. Here's me as an old man. Here's me as a baby. Surely the baby one, you don't need that. Do you? Like to make yourselves look younger? That's probably for people who are really old and they didn't have photos in their youth. That could be it. But then you get the whole thing of like people going, hey man, everything's been stolen. Did you know your name and face have been stolen? This is a Russian app. That was a big thing. This is a Russian app. They could be doing anything with that. What you think they're going to fucking do? What do you think they're going to do? Spend millions on creating a droid or a robot that fucking looks exactly like you and then kill you and replace your life? So then there's a robot just driving to work and then logging onto Facebook doing the apps instead of you. What the fuck? What the worst? Plus the fact you're already on Facebook. Nobody gives a fuck about your name and your fucking picture. I don't know what they're going to use your picture for. If they want to use my picture for anything, fine. Brilliant. As long as it's not superimposed on a fucking paedophile or something like that. Put on posters saying wanted. You know, I'm all right. Hey, Ben, but they could do that. I don't give a fuck. I didn't use the app anyway. But only because I post very rarely on Facebook. The only thing I post on Facebook is this podcast and videos. That's about it. Now, I've had it, you know. I was talking about this with someone the other day. Facebook's just, it just seems, particularly if you're a fucking comedian, like it just, it's just moaning and whinging, because most of the people on there are like comedians. It's just moaning and fucking whinging about shit. People saying how they're having a bad time of things. You know, my favourite thing on Facebook to do now is like when a relationship breaks down, what I like to do is go back on that person's timeline when they post up, hey, just want to let everybody know that me and Sarah have split up now. We're still everyone's mutual friends. We're still mutual friends and really getting along well together, but things couldn't work out. And then I like going back through their fucking timeline and looking for the red flags. I like going back like 6 months, 9 months, something like that, and seeing them get together. Hey guys, we're having such a great time. And then just shouting at them, this is not going to end well. Hey, just bought some really nice trainers for my girlfriend. Yeah, that was a waste of money. Fast forward, it's like being a fucking time traveler, just predicting people's relationship breakdowns. spotting the red flags and seeing the consistencies between how relationships break down. I'm learning a lot about relationships by doing that. Hey, you're too keen there, buddy. You shouldn't have bought them trainers. Anyway, that's my fun thing I like to do on Facebook. Relationship, I urge you to do it. People, it'll make you feel better about yourself when you watch that. People being all excited, getting in a new relationship. Hey, this is going to last forever. And then nothing lasts forever. That's it. Anyway, the face app thing. That's what I was talking about. People worried about it being stolen, everything. It's already out there, people. Innit? If you're on social media, your face and your fucking name's out there. I don't know what they can do. What are they going to do? Like, email you with some fake ID or something like that. It's a Russian app. What are they going to do? Send some poison through the post to you. I have no idea. Shit. We're on, what are we on? Jesus Christ, I've been fucking going on this episode. 30 minutes already, people. I'm doing this early, by the way. It's 5 o'clock now. 5 p.m. I know. That's not like me doing it early, but I've got a gig tonight in Tewkesbury at some sort of cricket club, I think. Ironically, a cricket club after slagging off cricket on the last podcast. Saying it was boring as shit. So that'll be exciting going there. Anyway, if you like this, that is the end of episode 22. I don't know why. This is nearly the end. If you like this, you can subscribe on the Podbean app or Apple Podcasts. It's the Ben Briggs Podcast. If you want to send in any questions or anything, it's podcast@benbriggs.co.uk. And you can like the Facebook page, which is at the Ben Briggs Podcast. I will not take a picture of your face or steal your name or send a fucking robot round to replace you. Maybe you want that sometimes, though. Just to get out of a few family chores. I don't know. Anyway, I'll be back on Tuesday. Have a good weekend, people of the world. I'll speak to you then. Take care.